I just think it's a terrible shame that Labor's resorting to lies and misinformation, frankly. We're not cutting equal pay, as I've seen on reports over the weekend. We're holding up the commitments that we've already made under pay equity settlements. We're maintaining, and all we're doing is making some changes to make it fairer, simpler, and less complex. I think when you actually see a Labor Party, comparing ministers to Nazis, that is not great. We're not cutting women's pay. We're making changes because we've got an unworkable system that got really loose, unaffordable frankly, but loose and really broad around pay equity, and we're bringing it back to what it was intended to do in 2017 to make sure that, but we'll put money aside for future pay equity claims. We expect there will be them. We continue to honour the 12 that have already been settled. And so, they are outright lies. So that's what they're doing. And it's a shame that they're actually not standing up and actually arguing for what they thought was so good about their system and why it wasn't so, it's a very flawed system.
In terms of the ads that Labor has been doing, do you think that they are ultimately any different to the attack ads that have been done by other political parties, including National, over the years?
I would just say to you, I think, you've got to go back to the facts. And the reality is that when you see a letter going out from Carmel Sepuloni saying we're cutting women's pay, that is not true. It is not true. And so, we're not getting rid of equal pay, as has been suggested. We're not getting rid of collective bargaining. That's creating a huge amount of misinformation about it.
Because Chris Hipkins would stand here and say he's not calling for the police to be defunded, but you regularly, as recently as this week, have made that comment. So can you see how it's a like for like?
What we had, when we talked about law and order, Labor's only law and order target was reducing the prison population rather than reducing crime. When we talk about, the Greens, we do talk about defunding the police, which they've said very explicitly from their law and order spokesperson, that's what they want to do.
You have talked about the opposition specifically wanting, you've talked specifically about the opposition wanting to defund the police. You are trying to capture Chris Hipkins in there. I'm just saying, can you see that when you take the ones that people are saying, yep, they're inappropriate, lots of people are saying that, and you get back to those basic ads, you get back to those basic ads.
Are you saying it?
I talked on here this morning about it. If you get back to those basic ads, are they really any different to what Labor and any other party has done?
We are not cutting equal pay. We are not cutting women's pay.
I get what you're saying.
We are not getting rid of a pay equity scheme. That's what's accused in those ads. That's what's actually been accused in Labor Party materials.
The thing is, the ads are true. They are cutting women's pay. They are taking billions of dollars that women were going to receive and they're cutting it. That's cutting women's pay. I don't think there's anything that's not true or accurate about that. There was one social media post which I saw, which I think a Labor Party page had shared. I made that very clear that was unacceptable. It had already been deleted by then, but that shouldn't happen. So I've asked the Labor Party, because it was a party volunteer page, not a parliamentary page, to make sure that that stuff can't happen again. They rammed this law change through under urgency without telling anybody about it, despite the fact they spent over a year preparing to do so. They've misled New Zealanders repeatedly over the last year around issues around pay equity. Nicola Willis herself, when she abolished the Pay Equity Task Force, said that she thought the law was working well. That was well into their time in government. When they were already working on these law changes, she was saying that she thought the law as it stood was working well. So I think they've been lying to New Zealanders all along.